Imagine for a second, what if you could take the physical world all around us, buildings, paintings, even entire roads, and turn them into liquid, programmable shares that you could trade right from your phone? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. And today, we're going to unpack exactly how it all works.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Cobber channel. We're all about breaking down the biggest ideas in crypto and finance. So let's just dive right in.
I want you to really think about this for a moment. What if you, yes you, could own a tiny little piece of a skyscraper in, say, New York City, or a fraction of a famous Picasso painting? I mean, for most of human history, that was just a complete fantasy. But a technology called tokenization is literally changing the rules of ownership itself.
All right, so first things first, let's tackle the big idea. What on earth is tokenization?
In the simplest terms, it's just the process of taking the ownership rights of a real-world asset and turning them into a digital token that lives on a blockchain. And a blockchain is just a super secure, shared digital ledger. So you can think of that token as your digital certificate of ownership. It's the verifiable proof that says, hey, I own a piece of that thing in the real world.
Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you've got this priceless family heirloom. It's one of a kind. It's impossible to sell just a little piece of it, right? Well, tokenization is like taking that single heirloom and magically shattering it into thousands of tiny, digital, verifiable shares that you can sell to anyone, anywhere in the world instantly. It just breaks the physical limits of what an asset can be.
And listen, this isn't some niche idea for just a few things. The scope here is massive. We're talking about the usual financial stuff like stocks and bonds, sure, but you can also tokenize giant commercial buildings, gold, even carbon credits. And it gets even cooler. It can apply to intangible things, like the future royalties from your favorite song. The possibilities are kind of endless.
Okay, so that's the what. But now for the really important part, the why. Why does any of this actually matter? Well, this technology unlocks some truly game-changing benefits.
First up is a huge one, fractional ownership. This means instead of needing millions of dollars to buy a building, thousands of people can each pitch in a much smaller, more affordable amount. Then you've got enhanced liquidity. Selling a building can take months, right? A tokenized share of it, you could trade that 24/7. And then there's transparency. Every single transaction gets logged on that permanent blockchain, which makes fraud incredibly difficult. And finally, automation. And this is where it gets really cool. You can use something called smart contracts to automatically pay out rental income or dividends to all the token holders. No more middlemen taking a cut.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory. But how does a physical building or a painting actually become a digital token? Let's walk through the blueprint.
It's really a three-step process, but look closely at what comes first, the legal stuff. Before a single line of code gets written, a rock-solid legal framework has to be built. That's step one. After that, you get the digital creation, where the token is actually minted, which is just a fancy word for created, on the blockchain. And finally, the tokens get distributed to investors, and that smart contract takes over the management.
So that first step, the legal structuring, there's one piece of it that is absolutely critical to understanding how this whole thing actually works in the real world. It's a legal wrapper called a special purpose vehicle, or SPV for short. Now, here's why that SPV is such a big deal. In a perfect world, the token itself would just be the legal deed to the property. Simple. But our legal systems, well, they're not quite there yet. So we use what's called the SPV model. The real asset, like our building, is placed inside a legal company. That's the SPV. Think of the SPV like a secure little legal box. You put the building inside the box, and then what you're actually selling are shares of the box itself. So the tokens you buy don't represent the building directly. They represent shares in the company that legally owns the building. It's this really clever bridge between today's laws and tomorrow's technology.
Now, as exciting as all this is, we've got to have a quick reality check. The road to tokenizing everything isn't perfectly paved just yet. There are some pretty major hurdles that the whole industry is still working hard to overcome.
The first one is that legal gap we were just talking about. Your token is powerful evidence that you own something, for sure, but the old school system, like the local land deed office, is still the final legal authority. And the second big hurdle is something called the liquidity illusion. Look, if you tokenize an asset, but there's no active marketplace with enough buyers and sellers, you haven't really made it more liquid. You just created a stranded asset online.
But despite those challenges, the vision for tokenization is truly massive. We're not just talking about a few new investment products here. This is about completely re-architecting the financial system as we know it.
Just check out this number.
Some industry analysts are projecting that the market for tokenized assets could be worth as much as $16.1 trillion by the year 2030. Let that sink in for a second. That's trillion with a T. This is not a small trend. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about value.
So when you boil it all down, what's the ultimate end goal here? It's this: to turn our static, physical world into dynamic, liquid, programmable shares that we can all manage directly from the internet. It's really about making the world's value accessible to everyone.
Which, it leaves us with this final, really fascinating question. As this technology gets better and the legal kinks get worked out, will every asset we own one day just become a digital share, a token sitting in a wallet on our phone? The journey is really just beginning.
Hey, if you found this explainer helpful and got something out of it, do us a favor and hit that like button. And definitely subscribe to Cobber for more deep dives into the future of finance. Thanks so much for watching.